Welcome. I'm happiness coach Teresa Greco, and this is the Steps to Happiness show. Here, my guests and I talk about the steps you can take towards a happier, more fulfilled, authentic life. Hello, and welcome to the Steps to Happiness show on 105.9 The Region. I'm your host, Teresa Greco, happiness coach, author, editor, writer, educator, and Reiki master. Are you ready to follow your joy and tap into your inner happiness? Then the Steps to Happiness show is for you. On my show, my guests and I explore the latest physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being practices that can help lead you back to the happiness that's within you. Today's show is being brought to you by Cookie Pizzas. We're not your average cookie. Perfect for life's sweet occasions. On Instagram, check out @CookiePizzaInc. The happiness principle for today's show is developing new habits that promote inner happiness. Did you know that we live 98% of our day from the subconscious mind? Yes, 98% of what we do every day comes from habit, which includes many actions we don't even think about because we've been doing them day after day and maybe for years. This includes bodily functions like your heart beating, breathing, and digesting your food, to automatic movements like your morning routine, driving to work, where you ask yourself, how did I even get there? Riding a bike, swimming, and playing an instrument. These are all automatic actions guided by one of the most powerful inner forces that drive human behavior, the subconscious mind. That leaves us with a meager 2% to consciously change our thoughts, beliefs, and actions and become aware of what our subconscious mind has been doing and reacting to every single day. If we are going to be happier people, then we must take a more active approach to design the life we want. So how do we do that? Well, with dedication, consistency, and rewiring, we can reprogram our minds with thoughts that reawaken our innate potential to be who we really are. The first step is awareness. Becoming aware of the thoughts and beliefs that aren't serving you and have you living a life you're unhappy with. Next is deciding. What do you want? And focusing on it by giving your brain direction. What do you want physically, emotionally, and spiritually in your personal and professional life? Then it's making a commitment to do away with any negative and limiting beliefs about yourself, to change the paradigms that are having you playing it small, and to change a fear-based mindset to a growth mindset instead. Last is taking consistent action, to consciously take the thoughts we do want to have and plant them in place of the old belief. Taking steps like rewriting the programming in our minds with empowering beliefs and positive affirmations about ourselves, our goals, and the aspects we want to change about our lives. Having an attitude of gratitude. This rewires our brain to notice more of what we do have and less of what you don't. Being grateful for all the small advances along the journey will keep you motivated and positive, rather than feeling defeated when you focus on not having reached your goal in the time frame you initially set out. It's important that when reprogramming our mind for success, that we surround ourselves with positive, supportive people and seek out books and videos, music that lifts you up, empowers you, and encourages you to stay on track. Lastly, try using visualizations to envision the goal as if it has already happened. Your subconscious mind will absorb the feelings in your images as if they are real, giving you the inner confidence you need to take action in the direction of your goal. Moving towards the life we truly want all starts with taking that first step to reprogram our thoughts, which rewires our brain for happiness and success. With that being said, I'd like to welcome my first guest to the show. He's a transformational health coach and author, Kristin Larson. Hello, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Teresa. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
So why don't we start off by you telling us a little bit about the work that you do with your clients?
Sure. So As a transformational health coach, I help my clients establish belief in themselves and really get to the root of what's stopping them or preventing them from having that belief that they want, so that they can be who they want, do what they want, and have what they want. And I combine the health coaching as a way to support the habits that allow someone to live into those beliefs and show up as the person they want to be each day, and just letting go of the limitations that they thought they had so that they can thrive in their life.
That sounds great. So I understand you have co-authored a book called The Decision to Heal: Pathways from Suffering to Love that hit bestseller the first day it came out in February. Can you tell us a little bit about the book as well as your chapter?
Sure, absolutely. I'm so proud of this book. And basically, what the book's about, the book was created to provide hope and possibility and a way of healing for others through the stories of the 6 authors that shared some struggles or hardships that they faced in their life, and the choices that they made on a path towards love and towards connection and healing.
And
And
how
in
does your chapter fall into that?
Yeah, so the chapter that I contributed to the book, I discussed what my limiting beliefs were in my life, and how they contributed to questioning my own self-worth and my own feeling like I was enough as a person, and how that really impacted how I was showing up in my life, and how I was thinking about others, and how I was approaching my daily life as well. And really just carrying around the worry, the doubts, the self-judgments, depression, anxiety, and just the choices that I made to shift my way of being and how I was showing up in the world.
That sounds great. So what themes do you feel were presented in the book?
Yeah, so the themes that I feel were presented both in my chapter and throughout the book as well were really about self-love, self-compassion, inner leadership, and mindset.
So I'd like to dive a little deeper into these themes if we can, and why you feel that they're important to live a happy life. So why don't we start off with self-love?
Yeah, so self-love, that was something that I struggled with in my story, and why I feel that it's so important in life is because it's basically an action, and it's a way of living and really taking care of our own needs and nourishing ourselves and our own well-being so that we can show up in the way that we want in life and really appreciate life.
Do you find that many of your clients that you work with don't have that self-love?
Yes, I find they do, especially when it comes to the beliefs and not showing up in the way that they want, because oftentimes that's something that's being neglected.
Mhm. And now we've talked about this on the show before, so I know my listeners know that that was something that was lacking in my life that I didn't realize it was until I started to dive deeper within myself. And that is when I found an unconditional love within me that I didn't know existed until I started to dive deeper. And then I discovered that. And when I discovered that unconditional love, then I realized that I wasn't loving myself on the outside, and that I wasn't treating myself, honoring and respecting myself the way that I needed to. And because of that, I wasn't showing up as my best self. I wasn't showing up as my authentic self. I was playing it small in really all areas of my life. But again, I didn't realize that until I discovered that that was lacking. And it's been something that I've been working on for years now, right? That it is a battle to really undo all of that programming and conditioning and habits and patterns that we've been living by our whole life, to awaken to that and then try to make changes towards changing that aspect in your life, and doing things that do foster that self-love and self-care. And so what about self-compassion?
Yeah, so self-compassion, it's similar to self-love, but as you described, self-love really it ties into the belief of being worthy or enough, feeling that you deserve the self-love. So self-compassion, it's more of an attitude. So really taking care of your own needs in regards to being kind to yourself and in those moments of struggle. So that could mean self-talk, and also knowing that you're not alone in your struggles as well, and connecting to the humanity as a whole.
May I ask you, what times in your life do you feel like you have had to show yourself some self-compassion? Like, what has happened? What kind of event maybe, it arises where you notice that instead of you pushing through, right? Instead of us saying, oh, don't be such a wimp, or man up, or whatever, these things that we say to ourselves, instead of saying those things, we should show ourselves some self-compassion instead. So maybe could you give us an example of when you've had to do that for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first things that come to my mind as examples in my own life are definitely any failures, things that didn't work out that in the way that I wanted them to. It could also be in relationships. So if I felt that I was hurt in some way by someone else, by their actions or words, that as well. And also in times of disappointment. So whether that could be in grieving or loss, or again, going back to things not happening in the way that maybe I would like them to happen.
Mm-hmm. And I think also with compassion, we are much more apt to show other people compassion, and we don't show it to ourselves. And so I really love that point. And so what would you say about the importance of mindset?
So the importance of mindset, it's really about giving the opportunity to change perspectives. And when you're able to change perspectives, that creates choices. And when you create choices, you're able to learn, to grow, and to see the appreciation and the experiences that we're going through in our life, and really places focus on the present. So there's a combination of presence in there as well, because that means that we're able to continue taking the steps forward that we want to be taking, and not focusing on the problem or other things other than the solution.
And so how can you see those choices? I know that there are times when you feel like there's no way out, right? That there is only one choice for whatever reason that might be. So how would you encourage someone to see perhaps out just beyond their mindset of, the situation, to actually see that there might be other choices available?
Yeah, I feel that there's a few different approaches. One is looking at what someone has done in the past. So how have they got through certain situations in the past, drawing from that. Another is going back to self-compassion. So being kind to yourself, and letting yourself know and acknowledging that, you're in the midst of maybe a struggle or a difficulty. And then when you're able to embrace that, it opens up opportunities to look at what the learning might be trying to teach you from the situation, and also looking at what options you do have, like who do you know, what resources can you find that can help you to create those choices or opportunities.
Yes, I love those options. That sounds great. And so lastly, you mentioned inner leadership. Why is that important?
So that's important because I know myself through it's all about the life journey that we're on, and really appreciating that life journey, and being true to yourself with integrity. And when you're true to yourself with integrity, that means that you're being your word to yourself, and you're being your word to others as well, and you're able to show up with confidence, and also to really follow through on what it is that you want to be doing and who you are in your life, and just really honor and appreciate that.
Yeah, and what I draw from that is that knowing inside yourself that you have what it takes, that we don't have to search outside of for answers or for people to support us all the time. That knowing that that the situation has arisen to show us that we do have what it takes to actually rise to the occasion and to be successful in that situation, and to take away whatever learning we're supposed to gain, that to grow and expand expand from that opportunity. So I really love that point as well. So Kristin, if people want to learn more about you and your services, how can they connect with you?
I'm on social media, so I'm open to all ways of connecting. So if someone wants to reach out through social media, I also have an email address, info@klhealthcoaching.com. I also have a phone number, and I also have a website as well, www.klhealthcoaching.com. So if anyone wants to reach me on any of those mediums, I am open to connecting.
Awesome, thank you. And you also wanted to offer a lucky listener a special gift today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would like to offer a special gift of the Decision to Heal book, signed copy. And as you can see in the background, there's one on my shelf right there. And yeah, I would love to offer that to any lucky listener.
That sounds amazing. So to take advantage of that giveaway, please visit my Instagram at Teresa Greco _steps to happiness, and you will see a post there with all of the details below. Thank you, Kristin, for being on the show and sharing the importance of all this inner work and how it contributes to us living happier lives.
Thank you so much, Teresa.
Welcome back to the Steps to Happiness show with Teresa Greco. Stay tuned until the end of the show today because we have a giveaway you'll want to take advantage of. I'm excited to introduce my next guest. She's a spiritual alchemist and a relationship coach. Terri Rainier, hello and welcome to the show.
Hi, Teresa. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So why don't we start off by you telling us a little bit about where you're from and the work that you do?
Sure. Well, I'm currently living in the mountains of Western North Carolina. It's a very peaceful environment and perfect for my own personal and spiritual growth, and a great place to assist others from too. I'm working as a spiritual alchemist in which I utilize my divine connection and encourage the others who I'm working with to connect with their spiritual presence in order to assist with the professional and relationship process.
And I understand you're writing a book that contains channeled messages from the divine realm to do with relationships. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, it was funny. A few years ago, one of my supervisors said to me, "Hey, you're like so good at relationships." And I was traveling a lot internationally and dealing with a lot of different cultures. And he's like, "That'd be great if you could teach it." And I was like, "Well, I don't know how to teach it. It just comes natural to me." So one day I went into meditation with the divine realm, and I asked the divine realm, "How may I best teach this?" And from what I got from them were these 10 steps. And so that's what the book is about, the 10 steps that help assist you with your transformational process and having a happier relationship, both personally and professionally. And I've also been channeling messages from the divine realm as people ask different questions about their relationships. So that will be interwoven as well, those kind of messages and wisdoms that they have provided. The book is expected to be out hopefully the end of this year, and I am still looking for a publisher if you know of anybody. So
awesome. And so I would love if you could share what the 10 steps are towards personal and professional relationships, if you don't mind.
Sure. So the first step is making a conscious choice. You have to be able to say, yes, that I want to improve my relationships and I'm willing to connect with a spiritual presence that is within me and is supports life in general. And that is kind of the basis or the starting point. There are a lot of other traditional methods for trying to improve relationships, but the divine realm was very clear that you have to feel the spiritual presence within yourself and that supports life for this to be most effective. The second is courage and really having the willingness to look in the mirror and the role that we each play in the relationships that we are creating, right? And how we can make changes within our own self to support those changes we want to see in the relationships around us. The third step is connection, and connecting to the spiritual presence, not only within ourselves, but the spiritual presence with those around us, and allowing that spiritual guidance to come through to assist in that transformational process. The fourth step is confidence, and really allowing yourself to see life from a whole perspective, the wholeness from which you are, and the wholeness from that the others come from. So when we see each other and that with those compassionate eyes, and see each other in the wholeness from which we all arise from, rather than necessarily the limited egoic personality of the human form, then it aids in how we interact with one another. Number 5 is curiosity, and being curious how to play together. What fun ways can we come together and play, right? So oftentimes in relationships, we can get kind of competitive. So looking for new ways of not trying to say who's right and who's wrong, but saying, hey, what are the things we do agree on? Hey, it's okay that we have other things that we disagree on, that one person doesn't have to be right or wrong, that two whole people can come together to play. And clarity, having a clarified vision for that which you want to create in your relationships. Right? So getting more clear about that, and not just allowing the past to determine your future, and getting very present. Number 7 is creativity, taking those action steps, helping to define them and saying, hey, okay, this is what I'm going to do to support the vision. And this is how I'm going to show up and interact with others from this higher perspective within me, and seeing the higher perspective within them. Number 8 is collaboration, and that's really where we're inviting the others to join us in this fresh approach to the relationship. And number 9 is commitment, showing up, being committed with our intention, attention, and action to stay the course, right? And even if it means that we're going to go in different directions in terms of the relationship, that you have a clear vision of what that is, if that's what you choose to do. This isn't always about saying, hey, the relationship is going to, be one that we stick it through, even if it's not meant to be. So with that spiritual perspective, you gain the insight and the place of observation to be able to see what's really needed in that present, from that place of present. And number 10 is celebration. Celebrate your relationships, have fun, enjoy the process, and let it evolve from your soul's perspective as well as your human perspective.
No, those steps are all beautiful. And you started off by, really stipulating that these steps have to do with the integration of our spiritual selves. And here on the Steps to Happiness show, we really speak to the fact that we need to nurture all aspects of ourselves, that we have the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual self, and that it's an aspect of ourselves that we often neglect and don't nurture, or don't even recognize within ourselves. And so, part of the show's mission really was to, reawaken that awareness of the spiritual aspect to ourselves. And the steps that you're highlighting, to me, they make sense, that those would all be components of what a healthy relationship would look like. But understanding that when you look at your partner as that they're also more than just their physical self, that on a spiritual level, that we're all whole and perfect, and that and life takes us away from that and has us feeling different things and maybe acting in ways that's not the light and love that we really are. And those steps that you're mentioning, I think, really reconnect us with that aspect of ourselves that's important, but also to reconnect and become aware of that aspect in the people that we're interacting with every day. So it would be really great if maybe what we could do is if you could think of a client that you worked with and maybe the situation that you helped them work through and how some of the steps helped to bring them to a better place in their relationships.
Yes, yes, definitely. So one particular client, she was a stay-at-home mom, and she still is. And so she's homeschooling her kids and, being the homemaker, and she just felt undervalued and unappreciated, and she also felt like she had to rely on her husband for anything that she spent money on for herself, and felt guilty about that anytime she spent money for herself, and not for the family, right? So you can, that typical scenario. And
Yes,
so she
absolutely. Very,
worked with
very
these
typical.
steps, and she was able to transform her relationships with her kids and her husband. And it was really beautiful to work with her, and see how she made that conscious choice to say, I'm going to make my relationship better, because I can't continue in being here in this home the way it is. And she had to take the courage to look at herself in the mirror and say, hey, how am I playing into this? How am I not valuing myself? And how am I underappreciating my role in this family and the dynamics here? And as she started to appreciate herself more, it shifted, and she started appreciating her kids more and appreciating her husband more. And in turn, they just naturally started appreciating her more, right? And she was connecting with her spiritual side, and seeing the spiritual sides of her kids and her husband, which made that process so much more easy. And as she did that, she also became more curious about, hey, what are all the ways we can play together as a family? And she got really clear and about what that might look like, and the vision and why she wanted to create that. And she invited her husband and kids to collaborate with her, and they created some fun family night games to play once a week together, which just really shifted the dynamics within the home environment. And it was really beautiful to see that. And her husband came to an agreement about a certain amount that she would utilize each month for her own self-care. So she no longer had to then feel guilty about that, having her nails done or getting some body work. And it's been a beautiful process. And she continues to evolve the relationships in her family life and with her extended family members and her friends. And it's been quite beautiful.
And I think it's so important to recognize that when we work on ourselves, that and we go inward, that we will start to see the benefits of that work on the outside, that our external environment just reflects our internal one. So when on the outside, we're not necessarily seeing the relationships that we want to have, we have to ask ourselves, what kind of relationship do I have with myself first? And I can attest to that when in my own personal relationships, I felt like people weren't honoring, loving and respecting me, but I wasn't doing that for myself. That until I started to love, honor and respect myself, then I naturally started to see that on the outside. And so I really love your coaching, your methodology and your approach with your clients. And so if people wanted to connect with you to really maybe look at using a different approach that, perhaps the ways that they've been looking at right now, perhaps, they're not seeing the results from that, and looking at it from a different perspective could maybe make the difference. So how can they connect with you?
Sure. Well, my email is Terri, Terri, at worldliving.net, and that is one as ONE, worldliving.net. And then also I'm on Facebook as Terri, Terri, Rainier, like the mountain, Rainier. And also, let's see, there's probably another way to connect with me that I'm not thinking of. Let's see. Yeah, and I also have a website, of course. So Terri Rainier, .com. So TerriRainier, right? And yeah, so there's a few different ways to reach out to me. And yeah, I provide divine realm channelings as well as the relationship coaching and combine the two as well.
And I think you wanted to offer one lucky listener a gift today, actually.
Yes, that's right. Yes. So I'm offering a 1.5 hour session for you to get clear about your relationship goals and to assist in how you could utilize this 10-step process, and also to connect more with the spiritual presence that is in your life.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Terri. So to qualify for that giveaway, please check out my Instagram page at Teresa Greco _steps to happiness and look for the giveaway post for details. Terri, thank you for being on the show today and sharing more about your upcoming book about the steps we can take to have happier relationships in our lives.
Thank you so much, Teresa, and thank all of you out there on the airways.
Cookie Pizzas, our sponsor for today's show, is offering one lucky listener a cookie pizza. To qualify for this opportunity, visit my Instagram page at Teresa Greco _steps to happiness and look for the giveaway post for details. I'm going to leave you with the thought for the day. Today's show was about creating new habits that support who we want to be and the life we want to live. When life unconsciously has veered away from who we are at our core and instead has us feeling frustrated, angry, and discontent with our lives and relationships, and asking the question, why is this happening to me? This awareness can spur us to make a change. If you want to live the life you desire, then it's time to decide who you want to be, to commit to letting go of fear as well as beliefs that are holding you back, and to take actionable steps in the direction of your happiness. Make a conscious choice to be present and aware of your thoughts, beliefs, and actions in every moment, and redirect your focus on making your life a masterpiece and designing a life with happiness, passion, and fulfillment. Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to being with you again next Saturday.
Interested in happiness and spiritual coaching and workshops? Go to teresagreco.ca. Email stepstotruehappiness@gmail.com. Follow on Instagram, Teresa Greco _steps to happiness, or on Facebook at Steps to True Happiness with Teresa Greco. This is the Steps to Happiness Show on 105.9 The Region.